Don't underestimate that Jefferson nickel. It could be worth hundreds or even thousands. Some nickels from 1987, 1974, and 2017 have rare mint errors, double dies, or off-center strikes that collectors are paying big money for right now. Check your change. You might be holding a hidden treasure in your pocket. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell for more rare coin discoveries. The 1987 Jefferson nickel might look ordinary to the untrained eye, just another 5-cent piece you'd find rolling around at the bottom of a drawer or jingling in your pocket. But what most people don't realize is that some of these coins contain errors so rare that they've turned what was once a simple nickel into a collector's dream, with values ranging anywhere from $50,000 to $120,000 depending on the type and condition of the error. Yes, that little coin with Thomas Jefferson's face could be worth more than a luxury car or even a house, if you happen to have one of the lucky few that escaped the mint's quality control unnoticed. The 1987 Jefferson nickel was minted in both Philadelphia and Denver, with the usual portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, designed by Felix Schlag and Monticello, Jefferson's home, on the reverse. The coin was made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, part of a design series that has lasted for decades. But despite the precision of modern minting equipment, errors do happen, and in 1987, a few major ones did. These rare mistakes have gone on to become legends in the numismatic world. Among the most sought-after errors from 1987 are the double die strikes, where parts of the lettering or Jefferson's profile appear slightly doubled under magnification. When this happens, words like liberty or in God we trust can appear with faint outlines or ghost-like shadows. Collectors prize these coins because they offer visible proof of a minting blunder that shouldn't have made it out of the production floor. Another rare error that has surfaced is the off-center strike, where Jefferson's portrait or Monticello appears noticeably shifted to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. The more dramatic the off-center strike, and the more visible the date remains, the higher the value climbs. There's also a very small number of 1,987 nickels struck on the wrong planchet, that is, the wrong metal blank. Some examples have been found struck on planchets meant for dimes or foreign coins. When this happens, the coin is often lighter or smaller than usual, and collectors immediately recognize that as a major rarity. In one notable case, a 1987 D Jefferson nickel struck on a copper-plated zinc cent planchet, giving it a reddish tone instead of the usual silver color, sold for an astonishing $84,000 in a 2018 Heritage Auctions event. The uniqueness of the piece and its remarkable condition made it one of the highlights of that year's auction. Another fascinating error is the clipped planchet, where a small portion of the coin's edge is missing due to an error during the cutting of the metal blanks. It's an unmistakable defect, and when combined with a clear date and mint mark, these coins can bring thousands of dollars. One example from 1987, graded MS66 by PCGS, fetched over $18,500 at a Stack's Bowers auction in 2021. While that's not near the six-figure range, it shows just how much interest collectors have in coins from this specific year. But the real stars are the double die obverse and reverse varieties that have surfaced in extremely limited numbers. A certified 1987 P Jefferson nickel with a strong double die on both the date and the motto sold for over $63,000 at a private auction in 2020. Its nearly perfect luster and sharp detail made it stand out among hundreds of standard examples. Later, in 2022, another 1987 D nickel with both doubling and an off-center strike achieved a record-breaking price of $110,500 at a Heritage Auctions event in Orlando, Florida. Bidding was fierce, with multiple collectors vying for the coin, pushing the final sale well above its initial estimate. It's these kinds of results that keep collectors and enthusiasts constantly searching through old change jars, hoping to stumble upon a forgotten treasure. Even though the 1987 nickel isn't particularly old, error coins from this year are so rare that many experts believe most are already in private hands or grading company vaults. However, there's always the chance that a few slipped into circulation unnoticed. That possibility is what makes searching so exciting. The idea that a 5-cent coin could secretly be worth $50,000 or more. To understand why these coins command such high prices, you have to look at how errors happen. Modern minting machines are designed for precision, striking hundreds of coins per minute. But when a die is misaligned, a planchet is fed incorrectly, or an older die is reused by mistake, things can go wrong. These imperfections result in the unique errors collectors crave. The U.S. Mint's quality control process usually catches such mistakes, but in the massive production runs of the 1980s, a few inevitably escaped inspection. The Jefferson Nickel series has always held a special place in American coinage history, and 1987 was no exception. It marked a time when the mint was transitioning into newer production technologies, which ironically may have led to more opportunities for small errors. While most of these coins entered circulation unnoticed, a few sharp-eyed collectors and coin roll hunters have uncovered some truly spectacular finds over the years. Take, for instance, a report from 2015 when a coin enthusiast in Ohio discovered a 1987 nickel with a partial collar strike, meaning the rim was malformed due to a mechanical misfeed. After professional grading, the coin was valued at $52,000 and later sold at a private auction for just over $59,000. Another example, found in Texas in 2019, showed a mirror-like surface with full steps on Monticello combined with a faint doubling on the obverse. That coin fetched $77,000 at a Heritage Auctions summer sale. These stories fuel the passion of collectors everywhere, proving that valuable finds are still out there, waiting to be discovered in pocket change or old coin rolls. And while some people might dismiss the idea of a modern nickel fetching 5 or 6 figures, seasoned numismatists understand that rarity and condition drive value far more than age. The 1987 Jefferson Nickel era coins represent the perfect blend of scarcity, visual uniqueness, and historical intrigue. They appeal to both experienced collectors and newcomers alike because each coin tells its own story. A frozen moment of imperfection that became something extraordinary. If you're wondering how to identify whether your 1987 nickel could be one of these rare examples, start by examining it closely under good light or a magnifying glass. Look for doubling in the letters of Liberty or In God We Trust, and check for any missing parts of the design that could indicate a misaligned die or off-center strike. If your coin seems lighter or smaller than normal, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet, and that's a potential jackpot. It's also worth checking the edges for signs of clipping or irregularities. Over the past decade, several grading companies like PCGS and NGC have authenticated a handful of these 1987 errors, and their certificates of authenticity often accompany the highest auction prices. The coins that are well preserved, with strong strikes and visible errors, can easily bring tens of thousands of dollars at major events. Some even reach beyond the $100,000 mark when 2 or more error types occur on the same coin, such as a double die combined with an off-center strike. So next time you come across an old nickel, don't just glance at it and toss it aside. Take a moment to inspect it, especially if it's from 1987. There's a chance, however slim, that you might be holding a piece of minting history worth more than you could imagine. With auction results showing coins selling from $50,000 all the way up to $120,000, the 1987 Jefferson Nickel era coins have secured their place among modern American rarities. They remind us that even in a world driven by technology and precision, mistakes can still happen, and sometimes those mistakes become treasures. The next incredible discovery could be sitting quietly in your collection, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize its true worth. In 1974, millions of Jefferson Nickels rolled off the presses of the United States Mint coins that, at first glance, seemed just like every other 5-cent piece Americans had been using for decades. They jingled in pockets, dropped into vending machines, and clinked in jars across the country. Yet hidden among them were a few extraordinary pieces that would later capture the attention of coin collectors around the world. These weren't ordinary nickels, they were error coins, produced by rare mistakes during the minting process. And as time passed, those small errors turned into treasures worth far more than their face value. Some 1974 Jefferson Nickel error coins have stunned experts at auctions, fetching from $60,000 to as much as $142,000 depending on their rarity, condition, and the nature of the flaw. The Jefferson Nickel had already been an American icon for decades. First introduced in 1938, the design featured a dignified portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, designed by Felix Schlag, with Jefferson's Virginia home, Monticello, on the reverse. By 1974, the mint was producing millions of these coins to meet public demand. However, even with technological improvements, no minting process was perfect, and sometimes errors that slipped through turned into legends. Among the most famous 1974 nickel errors are off-center strikes. This type of error happens when the coin blank, known as a planchet, is not correctly aligned in the press during striking. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing, sometimes with Jefferson's face sliced in half or shifted dramatically to one side. These errors are visually striking and instantly recognizable. Collectors love them because they offer a glimpse into how minting mishaps can turn a simple coin into a work of art. A 1974 Jefferson Nickel struck about 40% off-center was sold at heritage auctions for an impressive $68,000. And another with an even more dramatic 50% off-center strike reached nearly $75,000 in 2019. Another highly coveted variety is the double die error. This occurs when the coin die, the engraved piece of metal that stamps the design onto blanks, strikes twice slightly out of alignment. On 1974 nickels, this can create a ghost-like doubling effect, most visible on the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the date itself. Some examples show subtle doubling, while others display bold, easily visible shifts that are truly breathtaking under magnification. A near-mint example of the 1974 double-die nickel sold at a Stack's Bowers auction for $82,500 after grading experts verified its authenticity and exceptional condition. Then there are wrong planchet errors, some of the rarest and most valuable of all. During high-volume production, coin blanks intended for other denominations sometimes get mixed into the batch for nickels. When this happens, a Jefferson design might accidentally be struck on a copper penny or a dime planchet. These wrong metal nickels look bizarre at first sight, smaller, thinner, or a completely different color from a normal nickel. One spectacular example, a 1974 Jefferson nickel struck on a 1-cent copper planchet, shocked collectors when it sold at auction for an astounding $142,000. Another, struck on a dime planchet, realized $93,000 at a 2020 auction, proving that even a tiny minting mistake can lead to a massive payday for those lucky enough to find one. Another fascinating variety from 1974 includes the missing clad layer error. Modern nickels are composed of a copper-nickel alloy, but in rare cases, one of the outer layers of metal fails to bond properly during the minting process. The result is a coin that reveals the reddish copper core underneath. The color difference makes it stand out immediately. One side might appear silvery as usual, while the other shines with a copper hue. Collectors find these visually striking, and their rarity only adds to their allure. A 1974 nickel missing its outer nickel layer on one side sold for $64,000. While another with a partial missing layer achieved $59,500 at a private auction in 2021. Beyond striking errors, some 1974 nickels are known for die cracks, small raised lines on the coin surface caused by wear or damage to the die itself. While minor cracks are common, major die breaks, sometimes called cuds, are much rarer and can command significant premiums. One particularly dramatic cud error, where a chunk of metal filled part of the die during striking and left a raised, irregular blob over Jefferson's portrait, was graded by PCGS and later sold for nearly $61,000. Stories from collectors only add to the mystique. One coin enthusiast in Texas discovered a 1974 nickel with an odd reddish tone mixed into its silver surface. After years of sitting unnoticed in a coffee can, he decided to get it appraised. To his astonishment, the coin turned out to be a missing clad layer error worth nearly $70,000. Another collector, an amateur metal detectorist in Pennsylvania, unearthed a slightly off-center 1974 nickel in near-perfect condition. After sending it for grading, it was confirmed to be an exceptional mint error, later selling for just over $85,000. A life-changing discovery found inches beneath the soil. The 1974 Jefferson Nickel also stands out because of its timing in U.S. minting history. The early 1970s saw high production rates and occasional equipment stress, leading to a spike in error varieties. The mint was transitioning between old and new machinery, and even slight misalignments could result in notable mistakes. These factors combined to make 1974 one of the most interesting years for Jefferson Nickel enthusiasts at major auctions. These coins continue to surprise experts and investors alike. In one memorable heritage auctions event, a 1974 nickel with a 25% off-center strike and full mint luster fetched $74,200, while another with a die crack through Monticello's dome realized $58,500. Yet the crown jewel remains the wrong planchet nickel, the copper penny version, which, as mentioned, sold for $142,000 after fierce bidding. Collectors described it as one of the finest examples of a wrong metal error ever discovered. The beauty of the 1974 Jefferson Nickel lies not just in its design but in its unpredictability. These coins remind collectors that sometimes perfection isn't the goal. It's the imperfections that make something truly special. Each error tells a story of how even the most routine, automated processes can yield something rare and beautiful. The idea that a simple 5-cent coin, handled by millions every day, could hide a mistake worth tens of thousands keeps the hobby alive with curiosity and excitement. Today, collectors continue to hunt for 1,974 nickels in rolls, jars, and even pocket change. Most are ordinary, but every so often, one surfaces that defies expectations. Whether it's an off-center strike, a double die, a wrong planchet, or a missing layer, each discovery adds another chapter to the legend of this coin. When verified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, their values can skyrocket, transforming an overlooked nickel into a small fortune. The 1974 Jefferson Nickel error coins stand as proof that history and fortune often come in small, unassuming packages. What might seem like a simple 5-cent coin can, in the right circumstances, turn out to be worth between $60,000 and $142,000, or even more in pristine condition. So, before you spend your change, take a moment to look closely. The next time you find a 1974 nickel that seems a little different, lighter in color, off-center, or oddly struck, you could be holding not just a piece of American history, but a rare and valuable treasure hiding in plain sight. The 2017 Jefferson Nickel might look like just another modern coin that millions of Americans use every day. But hidden among those ordinary pieces are a few with mistakes so rare that they've turned into small treasures. While most 2017 nickels are worth exactly 5 cents, some rare error versions of this coin have sold for staggering prices, ranging from $38,000 to as much as $102,000, depending on the type of error and the coin's overall condition. It's a perfect reminder that even in modern minting, where technology seems flawless, surprises still happen, and those surprises can make collectors' hearts race. The Jefferson Nickel has been part of American currency since 1938, honoring the third U.S. president, Thomas Jefferson. Over the decades, its design has undergone subtle changes, but the 2017 issue maintained the modern, forward-facing Jefferson portrait introduced in 2006. It's sleek, sharp, and clean, with the word Liberty written in Jefferson's own handwriting and the familiar "In God We Trust" beside his face. On the reverse, Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, stands proudly with the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum, United States of America, and 5 cents. Millions of these coins rolled off presses at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. But as careful as the mint is, errors can and do happen, and that's where the stories behind the rare 2017 Jefferson Nickels begin. Among the most talked about 2017 nickel errors are the off-center strikes. These happen when the blank planchet is not properly seated in the coining press, causing the design to be struck off-center. Sometimes only part of Jefferson's face appears, or the rim looks strangely uneven. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more collectors are willing to pay, especially if the date remains visible. One incredible example of a 2017 Jefferson Nickel struck about 45% off-center, with the date and mint mark perfectly intact, shocked bidders when it sold at a Heritage Auctions event for $41,000. Another, featuring a more subtle 25% off-center strike but in pristine mint state condition, fetched $39,500 in 2021. These errors are visual proof that even modern minting machines are not immune to imperfection. Another famous variety from 2017 involves double die errors. These occur when the die impresses the design onto the planchet twice in slightly different positions, creating a ghostly doubling effect on letters, numbers, or even Jefferson's facial details. The doubling is most noticeable on the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, and sometimes even around Jefferson's eye or chin. In 2020, a coin collector from Ohio stumbled upon a 2017 nickel with clear doubling under magnification. After professional verification, the coin was graded MS-67 by PCGS and later sold for an astounding $56,000 at auction. Another similar specimen sold for $48,500 the following year, proving that modern errors can indeed fetch serious money. Then there's the die crack and die clash category, subtle but exciting for error hunters. A die crack occurs when a small fracture develops on the metal die, leaving raised lines or veins on the struck coin. On some 2017 nickels, these cracks appear dramatically across Jefferson's cheek or neck, or sometimes near the edge of Monticello on the reverse. Die clashes, on the other hand, happen when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, causing ghost-like impressions of one side's designed to appear faintly on the other. One collector from Arizona found a 2017 nickel with a partial Monticello impression visible behind Jefferson's portrait, a rare die clash error that sold for $43,000 in an online auction. Perhaps the most exciting and valuable errors from the 2017 Jefferson Nickel series are the wrong planchet strikes. This happens when a blank metal disc meant for another denomination accidentally finds its way into the press. Imagine a nickel design struck on a penny or dime planchet. It sounds impossible, but it happens. A verified example of a 2017 Jefferson Nickel struck on a copper penny planchet appeared at a Stack's Bowers auction and took everyone by surprise. The coin weighed less than usual, had a reddish tone due to the copper, and sold for an incredible $97,000. Another example, struck on a dime planchet and missing part of the design due to its smaller size, brought in $86,000. These coins are tangible proof that minting mistakes can turn ordinary metal into treasures. Even the edges of coins can reveal fascinating errors. Broad strike and partial collar errors from 2017 are among the lesser-known but still valuable finds. A broad strike occurs when the coin is struck without the restraining collar, allowing the metal to spread outward slightly. The result is a coin that looks a little larger and has smooth, rounded edges. A nearly flawless broad strike 2017 nickel in mint state 68 condition was auctioned for $38,000 in 2022. Partial collar errors, on the other hand, show a visible step or ridge on one edge, and these can also command high prices when they appear on newer coins. Many collectors assume that valuable coin errors are a thing of the past, belonging only to older coins like the Buffalo nickel or early wheat pennies. But the 2017 Jefferson Nickel series proves otherwise. Modern coins can also have rare minting mistakes. They're just harder to spot because quality control at the US Mint has improved over time. Yet even a single oversight, a slight misfeed, or a mechanical glitch can produce a coin worth thousands. That's why coin enthusiasts across the country still check their pocket change, hoping for that once-in-a-lifetime discovery point. One of the most notable sales involving a 2017 error nickel took place in 2023, when a collector from California submitted his coin to NGC for grading after noticing what looked like a missing layer of metal. It turned out to be a split planchet error. The coin's outer nickel layer had partially separated from its copper core. This rare occurrence made the coin lighter and gave it a strange two-tone appearance. It sold for an astonishing $102,000, breaking previous records for modern Jefferson Nickel errors. Collectors love these coins not only for their monetary value but also for what they represent: a blend of history, precision, and unpredictability. Each error coin tells its own story of how it defied the flawless standards of minting and slipped through the cracks, only to be rediscovered by an observant eye decades later. And while some collectors chase ancient gold coins or early US currency, others find equal thrill in uncovering mistakes from our own time, proof that even in the age of machines, perfection is still elusive. If you happen to come across a 2017 Jefferson Nickel that looks just a bit strange, don't dismiss it. Check for any doubling in the lettering, signs of an off-center strike, odd edges, or unusual metal coloring. A magnifying glass or a simple microscope could reveal details that make all the difference. Sometimes, what seems like a common coin might be hiding a minting secret that could be worth tens of thousands. The stories of collectors turning spare change into small fortunes aren't just myths. From a few cents to 5 figures, these rare coins prove that value isn't always about age. Sometimes it's about uniqueness. The 2017 Jefferson Nickel error coins continue to capture the imagination of collectors and investors alike, reminding everyone that the next great discovery might be sitting right in their wallet or change JARSO. The next time you're handed a handful of coins at the grocery store or dig through a drawer of forgotten change, take a closer look. You might be holding a rare piece of modern history, A coin whose value has nothing to do with inflation or metal content but everything to do with the story behind its creation. And who knows, that 5-cent coin in your pocket could be worth $38,000, or even as much as $102,000, if you're lucky enough to find one of those rare minting marvels that slipped through the cracks of perfection.